All right, hello, children. It's April 25th. Yeah, April 25th. I'm really bad with dates. Chew on the top for Max out there in Sweden. Been out of pocket all year. No big deal. The only reason I'm doing this is because I got told I need to do more videos. So, fair enough. But at the same time, I was like, what was the point of all the videos to begin with? Well, I always did it thinking I'm talking to a younger version of myself. So, what does a younger version of me need to hear? Let's go. And I think all young men should probably hear what the hell I've said in the past. I'm not a big self-promoter. If you like it, push it on to other young dudes. All right? Tell them, hey, they need to crush a cap with 2 fingers. Tell them they need to know how to bend it backwards. Be physically strong and mentally tough and spiritually awake. I think all those things are very valuable. So what have I been doing? Well, I've been making videos, but I've been reading a lot. I made a video earlier about reading books and the importance of it. I'm sure no one paid a goddamn attention to it, but it is what it is. Sometimes you just scream into the void. That's okay. It doesn't affect me. I'm still going to do what I'm going to do. So what have I been doing? All right, well, we'll break down some books of what I've read this year. I think it's actually kind of cool. This is some of them. We'll get to that here in a minute. We'll go in order the way I read it, because I read things in order. There's a method to my madness. So the first book I read this year was, I don't have it in front of me, it's on another bookshelf, was Showdown. It was the second book in the Jericho Files by Terrence Popp. It's an outstanding, if you like the show Supernatural, you need to buy his books. They're fucking great. And see, Vanna's been actually keeping track. Trust me, Vanna's been screaming at me this whole time. I got plenty of rants I can go on. I just didn't feel the need to. I just told her to shut up. And she didn't shut up. I still wrote down everything. But I just didn't have the need. But this one is pulling at me, so I'm doing it so I can get it out of the fucking way. So the next book I read after Showdown, fantastic, by the way. Everything I'm reading, I've read and I'm passing on. I'll tell you throughout the video if I recommend it or not. And I tend to only read things that I'm gonna like. But I take some chances here and there, but I always get something out of everything. So, the next book was Meditations. All right, I've read this before. It's by Marcus Aurelius, an old Roman emperor. It's his personal journal. It's a Stoic book. It's a philosophy book. Read it multiple times. Pay attention. I'm not putting anything in the description. I'm doing this on my phone. Everything's going to be backwards. It is what it is. Take it or leave it. It's on you. The next book was Lord of the Flies. Fantastic. Get it? read it. I've read it before. That was a reread for me. The last time I read that was probably 30 plus years ago. It's better now reading it as an adult. What do you want? Stand by. All right, back. Oldest son had talked to me. He's awesome. Love him to death. All right, next book I read is a history book. Renegade History of the United States by Thaddeus Russell. Outstanding. It's outstanding. You should read it. You need to read it. It is excellent. Make you think. And then you're going to be thinking, it's like, well, where else am I messed up in my thinking? This is good. It's a thinking book. And it's a fun read. Highly recommend it. All right, I got three stacked up. Hopefully they don't all tip over here in a minute. Then I read The Pilgrim's Digress. This is by T.J. Martinell. I've read a bunch of his books. I haven't read them all. They're excellent. Some of his prose was so good. And his thinking. I did a lot of underlining and highlighting in this book, actually. I do that to all my books. If it's good, I make notes in the book because I plan on rereading it again. I did it with this. It's a very short story. 105 pages. It's excellent. And TJ has done a really good job in his young life because he's a little whippersnapper in seeing and predicting a lot of the things that have been coming down the pike culturally and politically. He's excellent. He's excellent. He's also got a podcast out there. He's worth listening to. He's fun. You can't hate the guy. He's a fan of dogs. I mean, what the fuck? The next book, pause for a nip of brew. By the way, thanks to Eric for providing this. This is sponsored by one of my good buddies. Drinking Busch Light today. And it's actually nice. The next book, my youngest son, recommended this. So I found a copy and gave his copy back to him because I want him to build his library. Is The Giver. And they made a movie about it. And I remember seeing the movie. It was like, whatever. This is a really good dystopian novel. And it's fleshed out pretty well. The first 3/4, 4/5 of the book is good. The ending is meh. And there's a couple of swings and misses in for a fantasy sci-fi book on explaining things. But I will say this. Very good book. Definitely worth reading. Make the thinking meat think. And I recommend it. I really do. It was fun. The next book I read is a World War I book. And this book is super rough. It's called The Storm of Steel. It's super rough because it's true. This is written by Ernest Younger. And it is a no-holds-barred perspective of World War I trench warfare from the German perspective. And it's fantastic. It hits on leadership. It hits on what it was like. It hits on tons of shit. And this is a brutal, fantastic book that all young men should read, just like every book I'm laying out in front of you. Excellent book. Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, another book. Into the Wild. A buddy of mine, Brandon, was reading this. It took him forever to read it. I don't even know if he fucking finished it, probably. He likes to start things. I'm busting your balls right now, buddy. Very short read. True story. Just like the last book. It's about a young guy who is super smart, intellectually, big thinker, and goes for it without doing the research and starves to death in Alaska. But there's a lot of good lessons to learn from his tragic story. So, yeah, it's definitely worth reading. It's a good book. I mean, you can't deny the fucking set of balls he had on him. It's a fucking good book. Alright, let's see what else we got. The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells. Excellent. Wells is an older author, so the language can be tedious at times. But when this book kicks off, towards the last half of the book, it's a very short book. This is only it's less than 150 pages. See how his face is all wrapped? Oh, it's just so cool. It's a really cool book. It's like, what would it be like to be an invisible man? Well, he fucking tells you. And it's a psychological book, and there's a lot more into it than the sci-fi aspect. It's really good. Recommended. Anything by Wells I'd recommend. So, and then I hit philosophy again. Are we seeing the patterns? I mix things up when I read. This is what I do. I'll read philosophy. I'll read history. I'll read dystopia. I'll read We haven't even gotten into much sci-fi. The Giver was a sci-fi light. All right. So I mix it up. Mix it up. You got to have palate cleansers. You can't just read, for me, one genre all the time. You got to mix it up. Mix it up. Get the brain flowing and moving. And there's a lot of ins. There's a lot of outs. I've been on a strict alcohol schedule. Drug. Actually, I'm quoting the dude right now. Strict drug regimen. Stay flexible. You got to stay flexible. You got to make this a growing process and not a chore. It's got to be fun, just like physical training. You have to want to do it, which means if it gets stale, you change it up. All right. So the next book is Seneca's Letters from a Stoic, and this is excellent. Dude, I've underlined so much stuff in this book. It's fantastic. I've recommended it to other guys, other buddies of mine who are huge readers. Another big Stoic book. It is, if you read Meditations from Marcus Aurelius, you'll see a lot of parallels here, because the Stoic way of thinking, it is. So if you're reading one Stoic writer, you're going to see the parallels from another Stoic writer. But the format is entirely different, where Marcus Aurelius is writing a journal to himself that he didn't intend for other people to read necessarily. Where Seneca wrote this in a letter format to somebody else. So it's nice hearing and reading these intellectual discussions in a different format. It allows your brain to come at it from a different angle. It's excellent. It's excellent. All right. What's this? What number are we on? So this would be number 13. 13th book of the year. It's more of an essay. I don't know if it qualifies book. It's called Sanity is the Future of Wealth. It was written by Aaron Clarey, a great economist. He's really good. He's a really good philosophical thinker. I've turned a lot of young men onto him. And this is true. This is true. You especially in today's day and age, you got to understand economics and real economics, not what they're going to tell you in fucking Econ 101 bullshit. I've learned way more about economics in my life post-college than the bullshit I was taught in college, which was pretty much a big fucking waste of time. All right. Now, some good hard sci-fi. Heinlein's The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. This is fucking fantastic. If you're in the mood for a good sci-fi revolutionary book, if you're a big left-wing Antifa BLM knucklehead, hey, there's a story for you. It's actually pretty good. But the thing that you won't like about Heinlein, if you're on the Marxist bent, is he's the exact opposite of that philosophically. And he created a whole culture that 100% faced reality on the moon, under fucking ground, where their big phrase is, I don't know how to say it, Testoffel, or basically it's the acronym for there's no such thing as a free lunch. And you got to pay for everything. Nothing's for free. And how does a society on the moon that doesn't have a space navy declare independence from the Earth that does have a space navy? And create independence from the Earth. It's excellent. It's excellent, but it's fucking Heinlein, so what do you expect? Of course it's excellent. He's got so many good books. All right, Solomon Kane. Robert E. Howard. Robert E. Howard is the guy that came up with the character of Conan. He wrote another character, Solomon Kane. This puritanical fighter of evil. And it is some fantastic old school. He's just a bad motherfucker that hates bad guys and goes out and he kills them. That's what he does. And he does it. It doesn't matter if you are an ancient race of shitheads that is evil. It doesn't matter if you're a supernatural being. It doesn't matter if you're in one of the books he fights the Muslim slave traders. He's like, slavery, it is what it always fucking walking them till they're dead and beating the shit out of these fuck that. And then he goes in. It's good. Human, supernatural, whatever. If you're bad, you're fair game. It's Solomon Kane. It's fun and it's good. And if you watch the movie's actually pretty fucking good. All right. Beer break. Hopefully this doesn't run too long. I'm trying to get through this quick. All right, history book. Jack Henson's One Man's War. It's really good. It is the untold story of a man in the South whose sons get killed by the Union Army unjustifiably, and who was against the Civil War and against secessionism, and does everything he can to avoid fighting and gets sucked into the fight, and he creates a one-man war. It's excellent. Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. This is excellent. Read it. It's about World War II flight crew. Stand by. Lucky just knocked the doors open. Lucky's the dog. He just knocked the doors open and people are talking. Be right back. All right, I'm back. It's a World War II book. He's part of a bomber crew. Death tolls are high. He's seen a lot of fucking crazy shit. He's dealing with a lot of PTSD. Back and forth, back and forth. But this book, Catch-22, really digs into the destructive influence that crazy bureaucracies have. And it is 100% correct. It is so bad it's even self-defeating, and eats the people that is there to supposedly serve. Yeah, excellent book. Excellent book. Highly recommend it. And if you're too fucking lazy to read the fucking book, there's a big mini series that's on some fucking streaming service. Me and my wife actually binge watched it. That's why I actually read the book, because it was good. It was really good. Epictetus. Going back to philosophy. The Art of Living. This is a really good book. It's philosophy. And I underlined and marked up stuff on, at a minimum, every other page. Highly recommend it. Do it. This is fun. So on the last 3 books that I read in the list, or I'm trying to find, I put Vanna's notes. Oh, here it is. So I went Jack Henson's One Man War, Catch-22, which is a history fiction book, and Epictetus. So hard philosophy, hard history, all that stuff at the same time. I needed a break. So I read a good dystopian book. This is an omnibus, which means for you unread motherfuckers out there, it's multiple books in one. So this is 3 books in one. And this is called The Wasteland Saga. It's written by Nick Cole. And the first book is The Old Man in the Wasteland. The next book is The Savage Boy. And the next one is called The Road is a River. It's all on Audible. It's excellent. I read it and I listened to it. A lot of it I did at the same time. A lot of it I was just reading or I was just listening. This is fantastic. At a minimum, read The Old Man in the Wasteland. The last book made me cry. Literally. It was that good. This is fantastic. Imagine the old man from The Old Man in the Sea by fucking Hemingway, and put him in the world of Mad Max. That's the first book. It is fucking outstanding. Nicole, well done. I can't say enough. This was really good. especially for not breaking my brain in half like reading Nietzsche or Plato or Epictetus or Seneca or Margaret, right? Are we getting there? We're starting to figure stuff out. You can't eat chocolate all day long. You gotta move things. And was supposed to be chocolate. This was supposed to be an easy read. It ended up not being an easy read because this is actually excellent on multiple levels. It wasn't just watching some fucking dumb Fast and Furious bullshit. I got to see a lot of fast cars and I feel good about myself. No, this one made you think. Hard thinking in this one. This is actually wonderful. Highly recommend. Everything I'm talking about, I recommend, by the way. If I fucking didn't like it, I'll fucking tell you. Alright, so the next one, I wanted another break. So I read Stephen King's Under the Dome. This is a good book, man. This is a fun book. First Stephen King book I ever read. I took things out of it other people didn't take out of it, probably. I thought it was a great discussion on authoritarianism, because it's a huge theme in the book and the fight against it. Loved it. Excellent book. And from everything I hear about Stephen King, you can't go wrong. So I'm going to test that. I'll figure it out. Where are we at? I think we're at book 25 for this year. So, I think I skipped one. Yeah, Moby Dick. So, this book, Moby Dick, by Melville. This is excellent. This book, I didn't actually read physically. I listened to it on Audible a couple of different times. I bought this paperback. I had the option of buying a really nice hardcover by Eastern Press, but there's so many beautiful lines, and the poetry in this is so Shakespeareanly beautiful that I really wanted to mark this book up, which is why I bought this to go with it. Moby Dick is a 10. It's a 10. Just fucking read it. All right. So after I read this book, The Old Man in the Wasteland and the Wasteland Saga by Nick Cole, I was like, well, I might have to reread The Old Man in the Sea. So I had a copy. I picked it up for $1 at Goodwill, and I read it in a couple hours. It's fantastic. It's so good. Read Old Man in the Sea more than once. Read it and read it again. It is just fucking read it. It's good. We're sharpening our blade. You got that mind-body connection. The mind is neglected way too much. We got a lot of strong dudes, a lot of real thick guys running around that are fucking morons. They're smarter than most, but you got to sharpen the mind. You have to be able to think. That's what we're talking about today. All right? All right. Old Man in the Sea. I skipped one because I ran out of space in my bookshelf, so they're a little bit out of order. Another one I hit was Animal Farm. Orwell. Anything by Orwell, read. He's up there with Heinlein. Wells. So, George Orwell's a big old pig. Good. I read it about 30 years ago. I read it again. It's a 10. And actually, I think I listened to this on Audible. Yeah, the last person to read this book was my son. Yeah, so I listened to this on Audible. This is like a 4-hour read. This is nothing. But it's true, and you'll see a lot of parallels in your current society. Read it. All right, back to books that I've actually flipped pages on. Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five. This is a big one, boys. Stand the fuck by. Let me pause and close the doors because Lucky just opened them up again. All right, Slaughterhouse-Five. All right. It's a rough book for me, man. So it's a World War II guy. And the author's a World War II guy. I'm not going to get into big book reviews on this shit. He goes through a bunch of shit. He's all PTSD'd out. There's some sci-fi aspects to it where he's getting fucking abducted and put into space zoos and shit. Fair enough. For all you people that fucking say, I hate sci-fi. Oh, fuck you. The fuck you do. Because if you did, you wouldn't have a cell phone in your fucking pocket. Because that's sci-fi as fuck. But here's the deal. This is a fucking explanation for men and women that have been through some serious fucking horror in their life and how they're processing stuff. This is an excellent book. Excellent. Read it. Learn. If I read this when I was 15, I'd have been like, yeah, that was pretty cool. You know, there's some weird shit going on, and it kept my attention. No, this book is way, way deeper than that. Way deeper. It's good. Are we seeing a theme here? That there's wisdom to be had? I think this actually ties in a lot to my You Gotta Read Books video. Yeah. If you haven't seen that, go back and look. Alright, where am I at? Replay. Yep, replay. Ken Grimwood. I just finished reading this not too long ago. Within the last week. Imagine you're watching Groundhog Day. Bill Murray. Funny movie. All right. Similar kind of thing. But instead of it being a day, we're talking 25 to 30 years. You're replaying. And how do you live your life over those 30 years? Groundhog Day, he could do whatever the fuck he wanted to because he could fuck everything up and it didn't matter. He reset at the end of the night. All right? This is like decades. This guy's going through it. What do you do? There's a lot of thinking inside of 30 years, 25, 30 years. There's a lot of thinking. Every time he relives his life, there's a ton of thinking. And he keeps going back, and he's got everything from that he's learned all these the first time, the second time, the third time, right? It's big. This is a fucking good book. Highly recommend it. Replay by Ken Grimwood. Grim. Yeah. Excellent book. And the last book I finished was I did a reread of Heraclitus's Fragments. So I knocked out a philosophy book. This is good. It's a different translation of the last one I read. The last one I really enjoyed a lot. This is a couple hours read because most of his writings have been lost. These are the ones that are left over throughout from ancient times that are still there, and is some serious wisdom in this. Heraclitus's Fragments. Highly recommend it. It's excellent. And that's where I'm at now. I'm in the middle of reading 3 books right now. I'm reading Epictetus, different translation on Epictetus. C.S. Lewis's The Screwtape Letters, which is really good. Big psychology book. It's excellent. And I'm reading Notes from the Underground, and it's right here, actually, as a matter of fact. Notes from the Underground by the Russian writer Dostoevsky. I'm sure I said that incorrectly. Sorry. I don't habla Ruski. But this is an excellent book. I'm about halfway through it, and it's already worth reading. So I highly recommend this as well. All right, maybe later in the year, we'll go through what I've read by then. And if you want me to rant about anything specific, something's got to piss me off to get on a big rant. But it'll happen, I'm sure. I love all of you. Keep doing you. Get out there. Make shit happen. I love you all. You being a better version of you is on you. It's on nobody else.